Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, July 23rd, and this is the AgYield War Room. I'm Dan Dempsey, and I'll be moderating today's session. As always, if you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to drop us a line in the chat area, and we'll be sure to get to it during the show. Overnight markets here had December corn up 3.5 at 418.5. November soybeans were up 7.75 at 1076.5, and December Chicago wheat was down 3 at 570. This morning, we had an export sales announcement of 200,000 metric tons of corn to unknown destinations for 24. Yesterday afternoon, crop conditions came out. Corn down 1% in the good to excellent category to 67%, still 5 points above the average at 62% there. Soybeans were unchanged, 68% good to excellent. That is sharply higher than the average of 59%. Winter wheat harvest, 76% harvested, and spring wheat conditions were unchanged, 77% good to excellent. Good morning, guys. Dustin, we'll kick it off here this morning with maybe just a few thoughts. We've been talking before the show here, just on, what this latest little recovery, looks like, and potentially, what are some targets as we look out forward with, the prospects of, a drier and maybe a warmer forecast for the next, 12 to 14 days.
Yeah, well, it's anyone's guess still on where markets go next, but we did price in a lot of bearish things here. I think Justin said perfectly before we got on this last week, and we're showing signs of breaching some of the highs we've made recently, last week's highs. So when you fall back to, well, what's the upside target? Just thinking, retracing what we've done recently, the first retracement target would be right around just above the $11 number for beans, I think 11.05, and for corn, it'd be closer to the 4.38 number. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see new crop prices try to have that bounce. We have talked a lot about where insurance kicks in. Your 85% RP policy, if you grow your APH exactly, if that's the number you hit, the revenue floor starts paying somewhere around that 396 level, 397. So the fact that we got right down to 403 and couldn't really breach $4, and the market's rebounding with funds near record short for corn and beans at the moment. It might have a little bit of legs to it. I wouldn't be surprised to see just a standard, first retracement happen at those levels. And if it does happen and you're in a good area for production, I think that's a great time to be reevaluating marketing and maybe adding to it, just with the weather we've had so far this year.
That's a good point. And Jason, I thought you made a good point this morning too, that it's, I guess, tempering some of your feelings if you did see a huge pop, and still being cognizant of what the overall market makeup is here. I thought you made a good point on that this morning too.
Yeah, you just look at simply look at a long-term corn chart, and we could rally 40-50 cents in corn, and you're still in a downward trend on prices. And you still got to keep in mind, right? Like we're going to have a good corn crop. It's either going to be good or great, I think, at this point, depending on how we finish it off. So if you're in the great category and you have a 30 or 40 cent rally, you got to remember this. The spreads are going to are probably going to still keep some carry in the market, even if we do rally 40 or 50 cents. So you got to start looking at the back month, March, May, July. What does that put corn at? For a lot of producers with a good yield, I mean, you could be pushing closer to $5 corn. Those are the kind of rallies you really got to jump on, be ready for, because they might happen quick. They might happen in a day, right? You might hit that target order in the morning or on a Sunday night, and then, in a couple hours it's lower, right? So really kind of figure out where you want to be on that. And that's what I would imagine if we have this kind of weather scare, right, going into August, and shorts cover. It's going to be pretty quick, but probably a selling opportunity, at least for producers. Catch up on old crop. I know guys are probably still wanting to do in new crop as well.
That's a good point. Ben, what's on your mind here this morning?
Yeah, just looking at a slight change in the weather forecast after really having a spoon-fed crop season post June 15th and a lot of negative price action. It'll be interesting to see if the short gets a little bit nervous here, continues to cover. Markets, even with all the bearish, we typically don't stay in a complete straight line forever. There's retracements. People do it. We've talked kind of ad nauseum about that there was a lot of time between a big short being established in both corn and beans and getting to sort of fall pressure, or at least over the horizon, being confident that we have a really good crop, which I do think we have a good corn crop. Everyone will tell you that beans are made in August. So I think the next 5 to 10 days will be fun to watch, getting out of those ranges. So just I think talking to your advisor makes a lot of sense to put together a plan, because we probably have a large corn crop, unless weather really turns nasty the next 6-7 weeks. So
yeah, Justin, anything to add to these guys here? Thoughts that you've got?
Yeah, I mean, it's just keeping in mind the time of the year. It's a headwind with the rain and the crops that we have had. We were talking before the show here, like the last year that corn made contract highs, the first day of the year was 2013. And we basically went straight down. Now it was a more profitable situation. But if you look back that summer, there was 4 or 5 50 to 60 cent short covering rallies. We really haven't had any of that. We've had maybe one kind of sideways to higher rally, but it eventually broke, basically $2, broke all the way into, end of November. But there was lots of these short covering rallies, and a lot of them only lasted for 3, 4, or 5 days, and then the selling would continue. So to everybody else's point here, I think the crops are going to be good enough to start to some kind of crazy bull market, in my opinion, unless there's some big change that we're not even talking about. I don't think it's a 10-day dryness after really good rains. But that being said, the size of this position and relative to open interest is huge. But so is the farmer long, right? So there's going to be selling to meet any kind of short covering rally. That's why the funds are record short, because they know that there's a big farmer long that has to get cleaned up, going into this fall to some degree. So just kind of keep that in mind too. The other thing I would say on crop insurance is that if you're in these good areas, the ice states, areas that have been getting the really good rains, most producers have, 80% type crop insurance, maybe 85. So as those yields get above APH, their effective floor is much, much lower. And that's in some of these other years when we just kept breaking, it's because, it wasn't a 396 floor. It was really a 360 floor because yields were so good. And I would say Illinois is in that camp where you could kind of have over the top yields for a lot of good growing areas. So I think it's just really important to keep all that stuff in mind and figure out where you have to sell, have orders in, figure out what it means to you with your current yield projections, and just be really disciplined.
And we've had some guys talking too that, the ability to get some of that harvest basis locked in pretty good, or historically better than what it has been too. So obviously being cognizant on when you have to move cash, right? I mean, and getting some of that stuff cleaned up.
Yeah, I think, you get into August, you start turning the calendar to August, people are going to start getting squirrely on old crop corn and getting stuff moved out and priced. And, so I don't think you have a huge window here to, make some of those good basis sales and kind of figure that out. If you're in that boat that has to sell or move stuff in the next, 45 days.
Right. Oh, very good. Ryland, we got a couple minutes here. Let's talk about livestock. What's going on over there?
Well, we had the cattle on feed report, and market performed, I'd say, as kind of expected here. Definitely a little bit of a bullish sentiment, but the rally kind of faded, and we ended up just kind of struggling above the 20-day moving average. I mean, it just kind of felt like, with the lower placements, it was hard to think that we weren't going to see some type of bullish action. But overall, the focus really this week is still going to be back on cash. You still got the discount on the board, and I think that's what everybody's waiting to see, if Northern price is going to keep on coming down this week. So beef prices continue to erode. So at that rate, we're kind of losing that material support just from the beef market in general. So I would say that maybe another round of steady-ish, possibly steady lower cash trades is possibly in the books for this week. But we'll see how that shakes up. Overall, the hog market, kind of similar thing. We've been on a nice little rally here, but just kind of waiting for some better news to drop. Export market has really been on fire here, and it's just kind of unseasonally. So I mean, like we're starting to find some support and legitimate demand at these levels. So it looks like kind of a little bit of an excuse for some of the big shorts. Managed money has been a big short to start to cover here. So like to see some follow through. Cash markets have been pretty strong, but all eyes are right on cutout right now to see if the export market can't just hold things up for the time being.
Very good. I appreciate the update there. If you like and love the War Room as much as we do, give us a like and subscribe. That'll give you the front row seat to our show every morning, in addition to any premium content that we put out. So go ahead and like and subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything to do it. So, and it certainly helps us a lot so that we know that everybody's enjoying the show there. Every day that the markets are open, we're streaming live on X, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live, 8:15 Central Time. Appreciate the thoughts and comments here this morning, guys. It was a good conversation. Hope everybody has a great day, and we look forward to talking to you again tomorrow.